It's the BQW podcast, presented by Big Q's World. Here's where we talk about consumer technology, everyday life struggles, pop culture, latest news stories, and whatever else that goes on inside of Big Q's brain. All right, Geekazoids, it's going down right now. Here's your host, Big Q.
What up? What's happening, everybody? What's going on? What's happening? What's good? It's your boy, Big Q. This is the BQW podcast, Big Q's World podcast. Man, it's been a minute. I miss talking to you guys. I miss the dialogue, and I miss hanging out, talking about the realness. I miss it. And so I was sitting around, and we were doing very well with the Smart Guys Tech Podcast. Me and my homeboy, Keon X, at Chaos on Twitter, if you want to check him out. We've been doing some really, really cool stuff on the Smart Guys Tech Podcast, and really good success. So I was like, what better time to bring back the BQW, right? I think it's what the game been missing, right? That's what the game been missing, and I'm just glad to be back. So, really cool stuff. This is the first episode back, and I've got so much stuff that I want to talk about. I want to kind of keep everything condensed in the time frame that has been allowed to us tonight. So I got a lot of things I want to talk about. Some interesting stuff. You know how we do. This is the BQW, right? It's grown. This is the grown folks podcast, right? So we'll talk about some stuff. Also, we got to keep it groovy. We keep it groovy on the BQW, and we got to talk about some music. Some big stuff went down in the world of music recently. We had the induction of legendary LL Cool J and Jay-Z into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I got some thoughts about that I want to share with you guys. We'll talk about that. That's cool. Also, one of the most anticipated albums of the pandemic era, right? Of the pandemic era was released last week. Evening with Silk Sonic, Bruno Mars, and Anderson .Paak's foray into some really nice, awesome stuff. I can't wait to break that down and get into that with you guys. I cannot wait. And also dug up an article, I think it's from the Yahoo Music, and they had an interesting take on what they thought about the album. And I want to share that with you guys because I think for the most part the album's been received well, and everybody is going nuts. I've had the album on repeat since it came out. But they had an interesting take, and it was pretty cool, and that kind of thing. So before we get started, man, again, I want to say thank you for everybody who's been rocking with me for this long and still kind of checking for most of the content and stuff that I do. I definitely appreciate everybody hanging out there with me, and everybody who's just not joining up. You've seen this for the first time or whatever. Make sure you click. If you're sitting on the YouTubes or whatever, click and like and share it with somebody if you're digging it. If you kind of dig this type of dialogue and conversation, share it with somebody. Subscribe to the channel. Send it on Facebook. Go ahead and like it. Share it with your people. That good stuff. If you listen to me on audio format, podcast format, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, all those places. If you listen to me there, make sure you rate and subscribe so you get the podcast bi-weekly. We're gonna be doing it bi-weekly, so it'll be every other week thing. I'm thinking bi-weekly right now, but we'll see what happens as we get into the new year. So things may change. Some time may open up, freer for me to do it. More the podcast more frequently, things like that. So, but right now, the plan is to keep it bi-weekly. So that's what the plan is, right? Unless you guys tell me something different. If you guys tell them saying something different, y'all hit me up on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Big Q's World. Let me know. Let me know if you guys want to do it a little bit differently or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that was the intro. That's what everything that I've been kind of thinking about over the last couple of months, been getting myself into, trying to survive this pandemic and trying to hang on. It's been wild. Like it was so much pandemic stuff that I wanted to kind of stuff into this podcast. I decided I'm gonna take the first one back and have me a little bit of fun and not really dwell on a lot of that craziness that we're dealing with the pandemic. But as far as on the home front, everything is all as well. Me and my family have been successfully skirting and dodging the COVID monster. Knock on wood, we've been doing pretty good when it comes to that. So nothing crazy is happening with that. We're doing pretty good. Work has been great. I'm having a lot of fun at work, doing a lot of fulfilling stuff there. Good music, good fun, good content making. It's been great. But now I get to talk to you guys. So as we get into I got some trending stuff I want to kind of get into first before we get into the meat and potatoes. A couple different things I want to talk about. I don't even know if this is even worth talking about, but I just happened to see it in the headlines that, I'm not a huge fan of the NBA like I used to be back when I was in my teenage years. I was huge on the NBA and I was all about that life. But then as I got older, the game I kind of lost touch with it. But one of the things that I just remember being a constant for a very long time was the arena that the Lakers and the Clippers played in, which is Staples Center, and it's also synonymous with like wrestling. Everybody who knows me, I'm a big wrestling fan. A lot of the big events that have been held over the years were held at Staples Center, right? Most thing that popped into my mind off the gate was every summer the WWE would hold the SummerSlam pay-per-view, the big summertime show at Staples Center and everything. So Staples Center has been known synonymous with the Lakers and with the Clippers and with the WWE with SummerSlam. And now they get a new name coming December next month. This company Crypto.com is going to pay $700 million over 20 years to rename the building Crypto.com Arena. I'm gonna let that sink in with you guys. You're going from Staples Center, legendary, all kind of things kind of come to mind when you think of Staples, right? And now it's going to be Crypto.com Arena. The first, like I said, this is something I normally wouldn't talk about, but it's just the fact that is such a it's almost like renaming Madison Square Garden to some weird stuff like this. But I guess money talk, right? But I don't know. According to the article here, it says the downtown Los Angeles home of the NBA Lakers and Clippers, the NHL's Kings, and the WNBA Sparks will change its name after 22 years of operation. Arena owner AEG announced Tuesday night. A person with the knowledge of the details tells the Associated Press that Crypto.com is paying $700 million over 20 years to rename the building. This person also spoke on condition of anonymity because the parties weren't publicly announcing the terms of what's believed to be the richest naming rights deal in sports history. Over the last couple of years, we've done seen some arenas change name. I know the stadium down in Miami, the football stadium down in Miami, got changed a few times to World Camping Arena, to Land Shark, to a couple of different things. And I think the Seattle Seahawks, what used to be City, I can't remember what it used to be, a Citibank? So I don't know, remember, but it just got changed. And then here in Charlotte, I know a few years back, well, it was going to change anyway because it was the basketball team was playing in the Time Warner Cable Arena, and it got changed to Spectrum Arena only because the company name got changed. But we've seen a couple different things happen. So to finish this up, it says the 20,000-seat arena has been the Staples Center since it opened in October of 1999. With the naming rights owned by the American Office Supplies retail company under a 20-year agreement. The name will change when the Lakers host the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA's annual Christmas showcase. So mid-season, was that mid-season or was it the beginning of the season? That's the beginning of the season for NBA, I think. But yeah, man. And one of the things I always thought was weird about that whole thing with Staples is that it was named after the Office store, which, I always thought they wasn't big enough to be the name that's on the top and the sides of the Lakers and Clippers building. But apparently I it's a little bit wrong about that, right? But anyway, you guys hit me up on the social media. Let me know what y'all think about that story. Staples Center is now going to be called Crypto.com Arena. It just sounds so weird. Like, usually, I don't know. It's just it's going to take some just like everything else. It just takes some getting used to, right? So I mentioned in the open that this is the BQW. This is a grown folks podcast. And sometimes, some of the things we talk about on here could be, I don't know, but this is a story that caught my eye, and I thought it was interesting enough to talk about because it's, I like talking about relationship stuff, even though I've been in the same relationship for the longest time, and I'm hoping that everything stay that way. But if something happened one day where, I got to start from scratch or whatever, I always thought about like platonic relationships and stuff. So this story is from BuzzFeed. It says platonic relationships are on the rise. So here go some friends who have chosen to live the rest of their lives together. So these are just two platonic friends who became like life partners, but it's not like, a girlfriend, boyfriend, boo-boo thing. It's just two friends that just chose to we just gonna do it like that. And I don't know, just the thought of it right now, there's the whole, we got to get this out in the open right now. There's the old thing about how a man and a woman couldn't possibly pull off something like this, right? And I don't know. So that's why I asked. That's why, I like having an open platform and dialogue where I can talk about stuff like this, because I don't know. I can tell you, me myself, I have a few female friends, in my life, but living with a female, I ain't never did that before, right? That's something that's a little bit weird. Now, most of the time, you get the whole chemical balance thing between men and women that no matter how hard they try to stay friends or whatever, it always turns to something else. But according to this article here, man, it's like there are people who can do this, and they've been doing it, and it's something that people have been doing, I guess since a couple of years before pandemic, right? And pandemic kind of pretty much done slowed a lot of things down, including people going out dating and meeting new people and stuff like that. And I guess for the most part, it make a whole lot of sense. Like, you get most of the emotional satisfaction that you would look for from a mate, but it'd just be from your friend. It's just the other part, the romantic sexual stuff, that get a little crazy, right? It's a weird thing to think about. But I'm looking at the story, right, and it says that it's a story between these two women. The first couple is April Lee and Renee Wong. They met when they were preteens, 12 and 13 years old. Remained constant fixture in each other's lives for the past 11 years. So now they living together, and they actually kind of living life together. It says the largest distance that they've endured came when April moved from Singapore to LA. Both women built their own lives, left in separate friend groups, and developed apart while keeping in touch with each other. Then there was COVID, and they quickly learned that their previous proximity was a privilege, because everybody took that for granted at that time. April and Renee spent every night on FaceTime. Sometimes they spoke, sometimes they watched each other work in silence, just enjoying each other's company. Now, 5 years after April came to America, the two women have successfully secured a job and non-immigrant visa for Renee, so they never had to be separated again. So I don't know, for two women or maybe two men, I wouldn't say it's impossible, right? I think because that's less of that weirdness happening when it's like two people of the same sex, right? I don't think because I think you can maintain that for a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I don't think I would ever have no romantic feelings for like my homie if me and like my homie like stayed together or whatever, But then you look at it where it is a man and a woman, right? So people who maybe they went through some bad stuff, let's say a bad breakup, or maybe they lost somebody because somebody died, or something like just some traumatic stuff. that cause a person to like lose whoever they were with, and they kind of they got a homie or a friend or somebody who just was there the whole time, and it just always been that way. I don't know. Like I said in the beginning, I can see how it could work, and it's usually better. At least for in my mind, it's better. Like I think it's easier for me to be friends with women when I know that that I got a wife on that kind of keeps everything kind of on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you single, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. That it gets a little sticky. You know what I mean? Like, because then maybe some people get clingy about who's spending time where and how they're doing it, or who they with. Maybe they don't. Maybe they use some jealousy come to play. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's like I said, I think for a man and a woman to develop a relationship like that, like I said, as long as they have, people in their lives that they, I think it's easier. I just feel like it's easier because, it's always going to be that you got to be thinking about, right? Because then it becomes something else. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Like I said, it's one of them things that is you really have to think about. And I know it's probably a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's probably a whole lot of work. I remember having conversations with the wife one time, and we talked about this. And I think if something were to happen where we weren't together no more, I couldn't see myself getting into like another like real relationship. I could see doing something along these lines, because nobody wants to kind of especially when you've been in a long relationship and so like raise kids together and you know what I mean, like it's crazy, right? You definitely don't want to, because nothing can ever properly kind of like replace that, like so it'd be one of them things where you have to be like, I don't know, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and I know me personally, I would be a little bit nervous about, going that far with somebody else again too. So, I would probably try to keep it light, try to keep it friendly. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's probably what I would probably think about doing. So, I'm looking at some of these responses to the story. So they said many commenters on April's video expressed their own interest in pursuing a platonic lifelong relationship, and some shared that they grew up or were raising children in similar environments. So one person said, "My mind is blown right now. It just never occurred to me that this was an option. I love it and I want it." So there's one person saying this, right? Another person was like, "I love this. I was raised by my mom and her best friend. They love each other in a platonic way and do everything together." So I mean, apparently this has been going on for a while now. I'm looking at some of the Twitter responses. So this person at TamK12 says, "Yes, my best friend and I moved away from our hometown and got our own apartment together. She helps me raise my 2 kids, and we legit do every single thing together except work at the same place. I have no romantic feelings toward her, but I know she's my literal soulmate." Now, I know some women, right, in my life, in real life, I know some people like this. And, I've been checking them out for a while. And again, like I said, most of the time, it seemed like it's really, that's what it really is. It's like two friends, and they, at one point they were living together and so on and so forth. They helped each other do a whole bunch of different things. And I watched that and I saw it, and it was a beautiful thing. But I do remember at one point, it was some weirdness going on there. You know what I mean? Like, into the outside people, we looking at it like, okay, what is that? You know what I mean? But to them, maybe they knew what they were doing. They had their own little situation going on. But like I said, I don't know. And then even in that situation, it was a little bit weird because now you're talking about not two, regular women. It's like that situation was a little bit different. So it was almost like the same as having a man and a woman in that particular situation. So I can see how things could sometimes, get a little blurred. But like I said, I've seen it, and like I said, for the most part, as far as I'm aware, like I don't see everything. I'm saying I'm just one of the homies, so I don't, I'm not privy to every single thing. But as far as I know, everything's still cool even now after all these years later. it seemed like everything is still cool. And they, even though they shared this thing together for a little while, and then of course they end up going their separate ways after they helped each other kind of build each other up and all of that. They both doing well, and but so again, is it possible? Yeah, it's very uncommon, and it's and like I said, I think it's I think people got to be very aware of and I think there's got to be a lot of honesty there too, right? Everything got to be kind of like on the table, because you don't never want to be thinking like, oh man, maybe she thinking this, or maybe she thinking that, or whatever the case may be. So it's a very, very strange and weird little situation right there. So we'll have to see how people like. I would definitely love to hear from you guys and what y'all think about stuff like this, because relationships are getting weird. You got that whole Will and Jada situation, and and then there was the Oprah Stedman stuff, and it was people doing crazy stuff to be happy. And I mean, and all the time it ain't traditional, but a lot of times to the traditional eye, it look a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think it is what it is. But I think I want to get a little bit more into this. But I definitely want to take a break for so we can pay some of the bills around here. Definitely want to pause for the calls real quick. After the break, we're gonna come back to this, and we're gonna see what else was involved in the story here. Sunday's Best is brought to you in part by Sweetwater Music and Pro Audio. Since 1979, Sweetwater has been home for all music lovers, DJs, broadcast, podcasters, and live streamers. The collection includes an impressive selection of guitars, microphones, DJ equipment, keyboards, drums and percussion, pro mixers, channel strips, accessories, and more from popular brands. You can save on names like Yamaha, Behringer, Rode, M-Audio, Shure, Sennheiser, and Slate Digital. On top of all the amazing products offered at Sweetwater, you can go online and read the news and research from artists and experts in the industry. Sweetwater prides themselves on providing top-notch customer service. So if you ever have a question, you can count on our music experts at Sweetwater to resolve your issue. When you shop, just remember to use one of our Sweetwater coupons that I've included in the show notes. Remember, Sweetwater is Pro Audio. And welcome back to the BQW, Big Q's World Podcast. I'm your boy, Big Q. You're still rocking with us. I'm glad you're with us, man. We was talking about crazy stuff when it comes to people trying to get into these platonic style relationships and be serious about like I'm talking about like building like almost like a family style situation with somebody they're just friends with. You know what I'm saying? Like no romance, none of the sexual stuff, no intimacy, none of that. Straight platonic stuff. I've been reading the story, and I'm telling you, I've been blown away by a lot of the stuff that I've been reading and about these people who are doing this. It is crazy to me. Like I said, people are just wanting to be happy. So sometimes, relationships are hard. They always been weird and that kind of thing. So, to get a better, understanding, people usually just do what usually just kind of makes them the happiest, right? So as we get back into this, right? We get back into it. It says like to get a better understanding of the dynamics and differences of romantic and platonic relationships. We spoke with marriage and family therapist Mo Andrew Johnson, who specializes in sex and relationships, and she says that she defined platonic relationships as, quote unquote, a relationship between friends, and while these relationships can be loving, they are not physically intimate. They, however, may exhibit other forms of intimacy and create a bond just as strong. A platonic relationship may consist of one or all of these forms of intimacy, including emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, creative, experiential, and spiritual. Look, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? It's two people. They cool. They kind of catch a vibe, and it's fly. Ain't no reason to really push it one way or another. Everybody chilling, right? And and you just start to build, and next thing you know is, you guys living in the same crib, and you're raising, kids and stuff together. It's just like, I just think about like some of the drama that could come along with that. And I know, I don't like to be that guy, but you know what I'm saying? But I just can't help but to think of it, right? So like what happens when the people involved get into relationships, right? What happens there? Does that cause a rift one way or another, and that kind of thing? How do you explain this stuff to the like let's say you and one of the people that are in the situation where there are kids involved. As the kids get older, how do you really explain like the situation or whatever, right? Like why is mom hanging out with old boy, and who is this lady that you be chilling with all the time? You know what I mean? Like a lot of times it's just, I don't know. It's very complex and very complicated. Now people who are going through this stuff, I give them all the props in the world if they're making it work. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, to me, it definitely seemed like something that I would definitely be kind of like, having my, like if where things were like, like I said, if something were to happen between me and mine, and because I just know doing that whole situation over again, it just ain't happening. It was just like, because when you especially like I've been married for a long, like 12 years, so it's been a long time. And there is no way, I just don't feel like putting in that much work. Nobody's going to do that again, right? It's like, and I mean, sometimes, it's supposed to come like as a natural thing. It's a lot. It's a lot, man, especially like, when been through a whole bunch of different stuff. And like I said, raised kids together, did all this stuff. And then, then something happens. And then, you back at square one. You got a friend, because she kind of understand what's going on with you. And I know for me, I wouldn't even be trying to push it. I know I would definitely be trying to keep my distance and not really want to take it across that line. But I can see myself kind of hanging out with somebody and just chilling, and that being my my homie. You know what I mean? Because I can think of like going to functions and stuff. You always got somebody to go with and stuff like that. I mean, and that stuff is cool. And then of course, then you got to worry about what people are saying. I mean, I don't really worry about that kind of stuff. But people will be saying stuff. That is going to be one of the things that definitely happen. And and just like any other kind of non-traditional relationship, you're going to have to deal with the public, and that's something that's another hurdle that these people are going to have to deal with. Again, this is one of such situations where I would love to hear what you guys think. Feel free, like I said, if you're seeing the video on like YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, leave your comments. Let me know how y'all feel about this, because it's a pretty cool little topic to talk about and that kind of thing. And of course, if you guys listen to it on the audios on the podcast, hit me up on the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Big Q's World. You know what I'm saying? And we can talk a little bit more about it, right? So now and so I know this is the part of the show that I really wanted to get into, because I was so excited for the for the music stuff that just happened. Like, the whole the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff. I always felt a little bit weird about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And them inducting like rappers and R&B people and stuff. It's always been something a little bit strange about it to me, because it almost seemed like they never really wanted us there. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? It's for their people, right? So why should they honor, our art and our, and our artists when it's actually their Hall of Fame? Now, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as it stands, is the highest honor a musician or somebody in the music industry can get, being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, that's like the ultimate accomplishment, right? It don't get no bigger or better than that. And now we're talking about LL Cool J and Jay-Z both being inducted in the same class. You know what I mean? Which is pretty dope in and of itself. Now, before I break it down, because I feel I got a bunch of weird feelings about it, right? Like I always feel when rappers and stuff get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I always have the same kind of feeling, like who is the ones with the ballots and the votes, right? You know, is this honor really to be like held as distinguished as they making it out to be? Is, you know, because these people don't even really. This whole thing was started for a genre of music that had nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? So that's why I always look at it that way, right? But then of course I'm not a musician. I'm not in that you know, I'm not in that realm. So, you know, for me, because, you know, I always had that little, you know, I always had that that thing I wanted to be a musician all my life. Just something I always wanted to do. And for me, the end game was to win a Grammy. To me, that was the biggest and the baddest honor that you could receive in the music industry. That's what I thought. But then, you know, I saw people start getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So like, there's you know, Eazy-E is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A couple other rappers from back in the day, Houdini, Grandmaster Flash. These guys are all in the Hall of Fame. So now we got, I think the NWA went in last year, maybe the year before last. NWA went in, Dr. Drake's, Ice Cube, Ren, Yella, and Eazy-E. They got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's just like, I'm sitting there watching these people talk about it, and I'm like, wow, this is, do they even really know what's going on? You know, then I'm listening to the inductee, you know, make their speech, and they telling their story. And it's like, out of all the white people that are in the audience, right? It's like 3, they get it. You know what I mean? Like, and the rest of them are just sitting there nodding their head like they don't want to seem like the ones who are out of touch and don't know what's going on, right? You know, but they just there for the Leonard Skinner induction. They're not there for, you know, Jay-Z. Like, who they don't even know who Jay-Z is, you know, and that kind of thing. So, but every time I see it, it's always weird to me. It's a very strange thing. Like, and then I listen to what a lot of the inductees like say, and like it's such an honor. It's this, is that. It's the highest honor and all of that. And I don't know. I just feel like, and maybe because we just don't have anything that prestigious, you know, to honor our people with. You know, you got like the BET Awards, Soul Train Music Awards. You know, that's pretty much it, right? As far as the Black Awards are concerned. And then I guess those awards are not held in the same, you know, the same class as like something like the American Music Award or a Billboard Award or a induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Basically, what it comes down to is I feel like that they put a little bit more on the honor than I think is worth. You know what I mean? But again, like I said, that's not my accomplishment. That's not something that I worked all my life to do. You know what I mean? I just, you know, because it's different for me. I don't know. I felt like if I ever was a rapper or a producer or whatever in our genre, in urban music or whatever, to get recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or people like Rolling Stones magazine and things like that, it always seemed to a little bit like they kind of catering and it's a little bit of a reach. You know, do they really care? Do they really know what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just that's the vibe I get, and it's and like I said, every time I see it, that's what I be thinking about. But you know, this year we got Dr. Dre, which is very strange. Dr. Dre was inducted to LL Cool J. That seemed like a very odd pairing. I didn't know. I'm listening to the LL tell the story, but you know, of course, him and Drake apparently done crossed paths a few times. There's no work that I can think of that pops into my head immediately of a Dre LL collabo. I will have to dig for that one. You know what I'm saying? But there it is. Dre was inducting LL, and so that was a big deal. You got Dr. Dre inducting LL to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a big moment. You know what I mean? He put on a fantastic show. I feel like more of the people in that audience were able to recognize LL Cool J. Maybe not as I bet some of them were surprised to find out that he was actually a rapper, right? Versus him being an actor on TV. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure he had more instant recognition than somebody like Jay-Z. But then again, Like Jay-Z ain't the most visible person, but then of course, he run around with the likes of Beyonce and whenever you be linked to somebody like Beyonce, your visibility kind of goes through the roof. So maybe they did know who Jay-Z was, and that kind of thing. But I felt like when Jay-Z was up there speaking, only the smart people in the room kind of knew what he was talking about. Most of the people in that, every time they show a shot of the audience, they were just sitting there like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, especially he's sitting there telling the story about when Barack Obama called him up and was like, yo, I need your help to finish this thing out. I need you to go to these couple places, and to help close out this campaign. I'm gonna be Jordan and you're gonna be Pippen. And then, when Jay was like, sure, yeah, I do it. I got your back, bro. And then it was like, but nigga, I'm MJ, like they didn't know how to handle, that was kind of bold of Jay to even say those words in front of that crowd. But it's weird. Like I said, they showed the shot of the audience and the reaction to the line. And of course, only the smart people were laughing at the joke because obviously, if you're white, you can't really be, laughing at nigga jokes and whatnot because, that's scary. You know what I'm saying, right? But it created like a little odd, little weird, uncomfortable moment right there. But it was funny and it was dope. But as far as the artists themselves are concerned, LL Cool J and Jay-Z, huge fan of LL back in the day. I think if anybody deserves like one of the highest honors in music to like all together, I definitely think LL deserves, because he's done it all and he's spanned a bunch of different lanes. So he's like I said, white people know who he is, and people who don't listen to rap music kind of knows who he is, and and I'm pretty sure at least one of his songs done played at every single person's birthday party. I mean, I think just about everybody in America, no matter what their age is, probably done heard a LL Cool J song. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of the appeal that he had. So, I think it was deserving for LL, because LL is one of the, he's probably the biggest hip hop superstar I think our genre has probably seen. I don't think there's a lot that are bigger than LL. LL is like the Hulk Hogan of hip hop. He's just he's just like, so he's bigger than hip hop. Like I feel like if anybody can transcend hip hop, the first person that I would think of would probably be LL Cool J, right? Most other people are kind of right there on the bubble. There's a few greats that are out there, but I just think if I could think of somebody who actually transcended the genre, yeah, I would definitely say that would be LL, and I don't really think there's a really close second. You know what I mean? So like I said, there's greats like Rakim, who I feel like is just one of the greatest. KRS-One, Run DMC, they did a lot, but did they ever like really go outside of the hip hop bubble? They messed around a little bit, but not at the level of LL Cool J. You know what I mean? Not quite. There was like other ones that were just so big, that you thought they were just going to be it, but the only one that was had the most lasting power, that I said they got bigger than hip hop, they got actually bigger than the genre. Yeah, I would definitely say that was LL, right? And then there was Jay, who I was not a fan of early. I wasn't a fan of Jay-Z's work early in the game. I felt like he was a fake and a phony. I felt like he was spinning yarns, and I felt like while most of the people, the hip hop music that I was listening to at the time, I mean, come on, it's hip hop music, right? A lot of that stuff ain't real, you know what I mean? But a lot of it ain't real, but a lot of it was believable. Like when Cube said it, I believed it. You know what I mean? Like when Fat Joe said it, I believed it. When Rakim said it, I believed it. It just, I don't know. It was just when Jay said it, it felt like a Hollywood script to me. You know what I'm saying? It did, right? And I don't know. I could never buy in. I could never completely buy in. But then I had to look past. I started looking past the narrative and the narrative style that he had, and because there's other people who came along, like Tupac and Biggie, who told a lot of narrative stuff as well, and that's what made my ear kind of change toward what Jay was doing, because I heard Jay tell those stories first. I heard him tell those stories before Pac and before Big, and so but they kind of made me like, okay, well, rappers can tell stories too. This is dope, right? So then I kind of figured out what Jay was about, right? And so as far as his contributions to the game, listen, I think as far as his music is concerned, yeah, he's definitely he's a legendary tier. But I just think his work behind the scenes is definitely what earned him that spot. The business mogul, being able to squeeze, the absolute most out of every dollar he ever came in contact with. That's kind of what I give him the most credit for. Because, like I said, his music was good and legendary status. But Jay-Z he barely would be. He would be top 5, but he barely. He would probably be at 5. 5 or 4 in my book, barely. So does he deserve I think he definitely deserves the honor because, like I said, he transformed the whole idea of owning your stuff and be in control of your stuff, and that's a big deal now. Like before, hip hop artists was getting ripped off right and left, signing bogus deals. A lot of dudes that were hot for 5 minutes back in the day, and you never heard of them again. The reason why is because they didn't have nobody smart enough to really decipher the BS that they were signing and whatnot. So, Jay was smarter than that, and he took his street savvy into the boardroom and turned it into something else. So for that, I give him props. Like I said, it's a music genius. That's up for debate. You know what I'm saying? That to me, I think that's up for debate. Honestly, but definitely props to Jay and LL on their Hall of Fame inductions. I think they both are very, very deserving fellas and that kind of thing. So, congratulations, LL Cool J and Jay-Z, 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. That's a beautiful thing, man. Definitely for those guys, I'm actually happy and proud of them. So there's that. Now, the most exciting thing that happened to me over the last 9 days has to be the release of Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic. Their collaboration. This album, Evening with Silk Sonic. So last year, in the middle of a pandemic, they dropped a single, Leave the Door Open, and had everybody going absolutely nuts over it, right? And rightfully so, because in a world of auto-tuned and snap to the grid lyrics and everybody's beats sounding the same, in the era of trap beats and auto-tuned up lyrics and over-processed R&B guys, this was a breath of fresh air, especially for a little older cats like myself, right? Like it's only so much of that over-processed auto-tune crap I can deal with. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even dudes who had real skill, like your Ushers and your Jaheems and people like that. Jamie Foxx's, they started, processing their voices because they wanted to keep up with the kids and all this stuff. And I don't know, man. I just feel like, as far as our music is concerned, I think us as urban people, Black people, we need to show a little bit more pride and protect our legacies when it comes to, like, the hip hop is in a weird place right now, and that's gonna be a whole nother podcast for me to dig into that, because y'all want to see me go off about something. Ask me about the state of hip hop, and I can talk to you for an hour about that. But it's in a weird place because I think the today's hip hop guys, quote unquote hip hop guys, they don't respect the game, and they don't respect the people that came before them. The R&B cats, I think they're untalented, number one. And two, I think they rely too much on technology, right? And that's my thing. So then when I see something like a Silk Sonic, you know, I don't know. I can't help but to be impressed, right? Sure, it's a little bit of processing. I mean, I know I'm in audio. I do audio, right? I know it's a little. You do a little something to tighten the vocals up a little bit, but you don't hear over processed or zero. You hear zero auto tune on Silk Sonic records and stuff like that. And it goes beyond the vocals. The vocals are top notch. The vocals are uncomparable. But what's really the key to this whole entire thing, the live instrumentation done by these guys. They play in their own instruments and stuff, and Anderson on the sticks. Man, I'm gonna tell you, you have to listen to the records and go beyond the vocals, because the vocals stand out. Like, I mean, the vocals are great, but you have to listen to the instrumentation and particularly the percussion. Anderson .Paak like I've listened to him play on Malibu and Ventura and a bunch of Oxnard and a bunch of different albums and things that he's worked on. I've listened to him play. Never doubted the man's skill ever in my life, but I've never heard him play or do the things on those drums like he does on the Silk Sonic album. You have to listen to it. It is utterly unbelievable, right? Then of course you have this weird 70s old school vibe that is so modern that you would never mistake it for a song that was made back in that time frame, but it reminds you of that. You know, like I give people this example all the time about Bruno Mars a couple years ago dropped that song Finesse, right? And yeah, it's a little pop song or whatever. And what a lot of people didn't realize, and you know, because young people don't know because they went around for this, is that the first time I heard that song automatically transported me back to 1997 because of his New Jack Swing vibe, and Bruno nailed it. Like the intricacies of creating a track like that in the first place, you know, I just don't think it can be done today. But it was. He done it, right? And you know, so you can put that track up against an authentic Teddy Teddy track from back in the day, or somebody like that, and it sounds it sounds exactly the same. And Bruno Mars just has this skill or this gift to recreate a time period. He just has that gift, and then Anderson has this very unique, super unique voice that just doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard before in my life. And then his superb, you know, skills on the drums and Bruno's penchant for writing the most like ridiculous, like catchy lyrics. Like it all came together in this weird, magical 31 minutes of just pure audio bliss. If you haven't listened to it, you kind of have to, right? So I just praised it as much as I could possibly praise it because it is that good. But I came across this post though from as an article from the Washington Post, and we'll wrap the podcast up on this because I was reading this and I could not understand where this was coming from, right? Okay, so let me break it down for you. The Washington Post. Here's the article, right? It's on the WashingtonPost.com. It says headline: Silk Sonic get on a nostalgic soul train that's too sleek and too sanitized. Right? Let me say that one more time. Silk Sonic gets on a nostalgic soul train that's too sleek and too sanitized. Okay, so that caught my attention. I was like, wow, really? Okay. So maybe they're talking about the fact that, like I said earlier, it has this vintage sound, but it definitely, you definitely wouldn't confuse it for vintage music. Maybe that's what they mean. So let's get into it, right? So this article is written by this guy named Chris Richards. He's a pop music critic. That's what it says here. That's his title. And this is what he says. If you missed Silk Sonic at the Grammys in March or on the cover of Rolling Stone in August, here's the rumpus. Pop superstar Bruno Mars, 36, and singer-rapper Anderson .Paak, 35, were born too late to catch the quote-unquote soul train in its prime. So they decided to make a, quote, 70s-like funk album for people who understand Halloween only as a sexual opportunity. Take that in for a second, right? That whole thing right there is so weird. Like, where did he get this from, right? Okay, look, it gets worse. Okay, it gets worse. He goes on to say, the album, An Evening with Silk Sonic, is 31 minutes of make-believe fun. The duo forging a zesty and meaningless horniness out of borrowed memories. There's a lot of dripping bass, lots of groaning organ, lots of guitars that go chicka wah wah. Vocally, the vision of labor is pretty straightforward. Pac rasps through his verse with unrelenting wink wink. Mars soars through the refrains. You can hear it best during Fly As Me, a song that aims to create a lusty swirl of James Brown, Curtis Mayfield, and Sly Stone, but ends up sounding like a bunch of Target and Old Navy commercials trying to fill each other up. Now, okay, so this is what I listen. That's pretty scathing. Like, everybody who I've talked to about this record, they absolutely love it. They feel the same way I do. Now, I do remember a few months, about a month or so ago, Silk Sonic released their second single, right? It's called Skate. So after, they hit us for a year, leave the door open for like a year. It was a nice ballad. The ladies loved it. It was great. Then they released the song Skate, which, when me and my wife listened to it for the first time, she was like, I don't know, this one don't hit the same way as the first one, right? And then this is what my reaction was. I was like, it kind of does sound like a commercial. You know what I mean? So now that one, I can kind of agree with, right? But then again, like I was telling my wife again, after the album came out and I listened to the body of work as a collective, the song Skate now, I feel differently about it because it's in context with the rest of the work. And now I know its position and why it sounds the way it sounds and so on and so forth. Now, when it was just released, like out of the blue, that is definitely the reaction that I had. But I didn't get that on Fly As Me, though. I got it on Skate, right? The last one I want to check out, he was like, look, he said the only genuinely freaky thing about this music is an inherent weirdness that comes with watching people try to reanimate an era that they didn't live through. What's up with that? Nostalgia signifies an achy yearning for the past, and this isn't it. Silk Sonic only cares about the fastest route to pleasure, so maybe it's this. When you're playing with pieces of Frozen yesterday, you can edit things down so you're only dealing with the fun parts. The same way a Renaissance fair has turkey drumsticks, courses, axe throwing, and no dysentery. Wow, man, that is a pretty deep dig. And I don't know, man, like, so, reading the article again as I'm, recording this podcast, I don't know, man. I can see where maybe he feel like they're too young to know. And like I said in the beginning, like I said when I first started talking about this, it's Bruno Mars's like ability to be able to capture an era. He just really good at it. I mean, does that just because he wasn't born in the 70s, does that disqualify him from liking and studying and being immersed in 70s soul music, right? I was born in the very late 70s. Didn't really listen to, I didn't grow up listening to a whole lot of 70s music. But the thing is, when I started listening to hip hop music, which sampled a lot of 70s music, it made me go back and listen to a bunch of old 70s music. Maybe that's something that happened with Bruno Mars. Now, listen, Bruno has always been called the culture vulture. And they were saying stuff like Uptown Funk and Finesse was like him stealing different things from different people. I definitely don't agree with that. I feel like he's a very observant and a person that can just feel when something feels good. and has an uncanny ability to be able to recreate it. I don't know about the culture vulture stuff. I believe it to you guys to decide that. I will leave it for you guys to think about and think about this article here, which is pretty much breaking down the record as a fake and phony. Pretty much saying it's two dudes, two babies playing, they're stepping in their mommy and daddy's shoes, right? It's like, one wearing mommy's pumps and the other one's wearing daddy's necktie, right? That's what they're making it out to be, and sonically, it didn't sound like that to me. It sounded super authentic to me. It sounded like two dudes that put a lot of work in for the record. It sounded like dudes who was working the midnight oil trying to get those bass licks and those stick grooves just right. So I don't know. It's like I said, this article had me feeling weird, but that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. I wanted to see how you guys felt about it. So you guys take that and let me know what you guys think about, number one, the Silk Sonic record, and what you think about this article. I will post this article in the show notes so you guys can take a read at it, because it's pretty interesting the way this guy's breaking this stuff down, But and then let me know if you guys agree or disagree with what this guy's saying, or agree or disagree with the way I described the record when I heard it, right? So it should be something fun for you guys to do. In the meantime, I will leave you guys with this little piece of homework as well. If there's 2 tracks that I need you guys to listen to, and then when we come back here and reconvene in a couple weeks, you guys can let me know on the social medias what y'all thought. I need you to go and listen to Maxwell's newest record called Off. It's a little bit different from what we used to Maxwell doing. And then I need you to take a look at this hidden gem that's on the Shang-Chi, that Marvel Kung Fu flick. The end credits, there's a song by Anderson .Paak called Fire in the Sky. Look that one up on Spotify. Tell me what you guys think about that record. I thought it was amazing, right? But other than that, that's going to be my show for my comeback re-debut of the BQW. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Like I said, I enjoyed talking about these things. These things are the things that I like to talk about: music, pop culture. I talk about it all here. You know what I'm saying? And next time we get together, man, hopefully we have some really cool things to talk about and that kind of thing. Again, if you guys enjoyed the podcast and everything about it, or whatever maybe you didn't like something about it, just let me know in either the review on iTunes or in the comment sections of Facebook or YouTube or whatever. Just let me know. And if you did like it, man, like it, thumbs up, subscribe, share it with people, let everybody know what's going on. And again, I am your boy, Big Q, for Big Q's World, and this is the BQW podcast. And I'm out of here, y'all. Y'all take it easy.